What's up, Internet Land? This is Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. And today we're going to be reviewing the absolutely colossal Jiang Hide Shadow. This is their version of the Studio Series Blackout, and Blackout was one of the Wave One Studio Series that I actually really liked. I say that in that I actually liked most of the Wave 1 Studio Series figures, but it was one of the ones that I liked a whole lot. But this figure is just absolutely fantastic. It is fantastic in certainly all of the ways that the Studio Series Leader Class figure was fantastic, and then some on top of that. There's some enhancements and additions and improvements made to it. Also, there's some weird, questionable things, but I guess everything can't be perfect all the time. It does also suffer from some of the same weird things that happened with that figure. Like, still has some minor stability issues, but they're like really minor, and you mess with it and it works out pretty well. But he is a big figure and he is kind of heavy, and of course with any big heavy figure, that's going to cause its own set of issues. Also, he doesn't quite fit in the frame, so we'll have to deal with that as we come. But yeah, so this figure's huge. I actually quite enjoy this figure. I think it's pretty good. I'm not gonna say that it's like perfect, but it's a lot of fun, and it looks really nice. Certainly just as a display figure, it is just spot on. Real quick, I think the best way to go over this figure is to talk about the design differences from the original. So, to help me out with that, I've got my original Blackout figure, and you'll notice he's just a little guy compared to this guy here. But lot of interesting design differences here. So let's start from the top and work our way down. So first of all, the first thing that you'll notice is that this figure has got a lot. Sorry, I'm dying over here. Has got a lot more paint. It looks really good. Let's get close in on some of that. You'll see it's got some nice, silvers, grays, golds, the red. That's just all just on the face. Lots of silver all over here. Gold details on like all of this gunmetal stuff on here. Little like gold piping around in that gunmetal jointery on there. Just really good looking. Just absolutely a premium looking figure. And I mean, this figure is not bad, but it is mostly bare plastic. And while yes, this figure does have a lot of bare plastic, a lot of this gray is just bare plastic gray. But like, it's got a lot of stuff and layers and added onto it. It's just really nice. First, some of the details are kind of cosmetic. It's got these covers in here, kind of fill in that hollow space that the original Blackout had. They moved this portion right here up onto the shoulder. Not only does that make this part look better, but it changes the way this whole arm folds in, to make that fold in and just look nicer all around. If you compare these arms with each other, it just looks nicer. This is a new piece of engineering, this little flap. folds that in, tucks it in a bit nicely. It's got, well, of course, you'll notice that the refueling nozzle has been folded into the body as opposed to just sticking out right here. It's got spring-loaded panels on the legs. There's these panels that kind of stuck out on the line art, but they didn't really stick out on this toy. They stick out now. It makes his leg look a lot beefier and thicker, even though it's not really adding a whole lot of meat to it. It gives the impression of adding a lot of meat to it. Of course, you know, they filled in a lot of gaps, changed up the molding quite a bit so that, you know, part separation comes out differently so that you can, you know, instead of having something be like one part and it's got a hollow in the side so you don't have all sorts of cooling deformations, you've got two parts that click together and the hollow part is on the inside instead of on the outside. But just a lot of little details all through it. But I think the biggest engineering changes come from the way the arms fold up. Of course, the articulated posable hands, and they added in a bit of parts forming on the back here. As you'll see, the original Jiang, or the original Takara figure, has got this whole panel that folds up here, and that panel is designed to be removable on this. Now this is the set B that comes with Scorponok and you know, Blackout, and the panel that goes under the whole underside of the helicopter. And of course, let me bring that out real quick. That's just this little display piece right here. But I'm going to take this off for just a moment because we want to talk about this panel right here. So this panel on the original Hasbro Takara one, it folds right along this hinge. This part folds all the way up. But because of these panels that have been added in, it can't do that. And from what I can tell, even on the set A that does not come with the big panel that goes on the bottom and that does not make the little diorama base thing, it still has these additions in there. If I really wanted to recreate the Hasbro version, I'd have to remove this pin, remove these panels, and then reinsert the pin. And that would make this, looks like it would probably make this so that it folds up just fine, and then I could leave it on in the robot mode. But I'm of two minds about that. First and foremost, when you look at it from the back, with all this pegged in, like that is, let me get this out of the way. That is a really clean look. You know? It doesn't have that thing sticking out, and it doesn't, you know, like that's a really clean look, and I guess I can appreciate that. And I mean, also, since it like turns into a little diorama, like it's a clever way to take parts to I mean, yeah, they have to construe some parts forming, but it's not like it doesn't do anything. You know, if they just had it like, oh, this part detaches, and then you just like stick it in a drawer or whatnot, then like that would be kind of lame. But because they make it so that it you know, does this little base thing. By the way, this just attaches. There's these two little tabs right here, and these two little slots right here, and it just goes right on there. Presses together and fits. Stand up. There you go. But let me talk about this real quick. Mostly just painted in brown. This part here is made to look like a little wall. You've got a little car here. The car is on a peg. Yeah, it'll come right off, I think. Maybe? I don't know. I'm yanking on it. It doesn't want to come off. I don't know what the story with the car is. A little shrubbery here, some oil cans, your little soldiers. These are basically just your green army men kind of shtick. Wow, the macro on my new phone is pretty nice, actually. Hopefully the audio is nice too. I don't have a microphone plugged in right now, but it's supposed to have 3D audio, and like it's supposed to take binaural. It's supposed to have a left channel and a right channel on the audio, and have at least one rear-facing microphone. So, alrighty. Here's the Scorponok. He looks really good. Like he's got this nice like gray paint and whatnot. Gunmetal on all the rest. The tail has been changed up. Instead of being articulated in only 2 parts like this, it's articulated in 4 parts. And so get a little bit more curl to it, a little more expression to it. By the way, this tail, the actual tail prop, is on display at Universal Studios California, and I went and saw it last year, and it was a cool experience. It was a cool trip, and you like when you're waiting in line, there's like this whole like Transformers base thing going on. It's super cool. But aside from the extra articulation in the tail, he's just got these little parts here that wiggle around, and he's basically just the same as he was in the Hasbro version. So I'm going to plug him back onto this little diorama for now, and we're going to stick this off to the side and not worry about that. I will briefly go through articulation. It is mostly the same as the Hasbro version, so I'm not going to go into it in super great depth. Head goes up and down a little bit. It goes from side to side. It is on a ball joint, so you can get a little bit of wiggle, but it's mostly just for turning and looking. The shoulders have been fairly redesigned. All the same jointage is there. It just feels way better done this time around. So you've got this transformation joint here, which in turn you can just pop this to give you like a little bit of a butterfly joint, and that is, you know, useful in a posability stand. His arm will click forward on that joint, go back that far, go out that far on the secondary joint here. This is not a strong joint, by the way. It is stronger on this arm, but not as strong on this arm. I'll have to see, because there's a screw right here. I'll have to see if tightening that up will make that strong. Actually, no, I could probably check it out right now. I got myself a new precision screwdriver set, but this isn't it. This is my old precision screwdriver set. I don't know, it's not tightening up. I'll try it with my better set later. So that is a bit of a bummer. There are ways that I could tighten that up, and I think I may do one or more of those. He's got a bicep swivel here, elbow joint here with about 90 degrees of posability. Oh, that's a nice loud click, isn't it? And then his wrist, so this is the same joint that, we'll put him in the Hasbro mode right now. This is the same joint that the Hasbro one has. And then he's got a swivel here, and then the thumb is in 2 sections here. There's one at the base of the thumb and one tucked at the joint of the thumb. And then his fingers as well have got one at each base and one at each knuckle. Not a whole lot of joints in his hand, but that is by design. They didn't just shortchange his joints. We have all of the joints. And so that's good. That makes nice, expressive looking hand poses. And it's just really, this is one of the biggest things that I think helps out this figure a lot. Oh, these propellers are going to be the death of me. His leg is going to kick forward. If we move his skirt arm out of the way, his leg will kick forward that much. I'm going to do his other leg because this arm is loosey-goosey. Leg will kick forward that much. Leg will kick back all the way. We've got, this is about 100% Van Damme, maybe 102% if you're pushing it, but it'll stay at 100%. You've got a thigh swivel here. You've got a primary knee joint here. And then you have a secondary knee joint below it. And that foot came undone. Let's put that back. No transforming yet. He's got, it feels like a ball joint, but it's not. It's actually a like a universal joint on his ankle, so that'll go side to side and forward and back. And then he also has like a little bit of toe articulation now, because this is a new piece of engineering. A little bit of toe action here. So he's a good figure. He's got great posability on him. Slightly more than the Hasbro original, but you know, it looks really good. And just the look and the color of him just make it look just great. I dig it a lot. Let's get him transformed up. So first thing we're going to do is take off his spinny blade weapon. We don't want that here. We'll put it back on later. I almost wish that there was a way to just take off this rotor for the time being, because this is just, it's going to be the death of me. So I'm pretty certain I did this in a funny way. I'm pretty certain I did this in a way that didn't need to be done, because I've got this panel underneath this panel, but I think it's supposed to go like I have it on the Hasbro one, where that panel goes over this cowling. So I may have screwed this up already. But what we're going to do is we're going to unclip this from the back right here, and this whole thing is going to extend out. Let me pull my camera out. See if I can get it to stand a little taller. If I have issues with this, I'm going to put it on my tripod so it'll sit a few inches out, so we can get just a better field of view. So that all came with that. This part is on this little armature here. We're going to just bring that down and start to kind of get this out of the way. We're going to fold this up and detach the waist here. As you detach the waist, you can pull this refueling pitot out. I don't know if it's actually called a pitot. If any aircraft guy watches this, they'll probably get all over my case. It's not a pitot, it's something, whatever it's actually called. Fold up that window like so. Get these kind of in position. I'm not going to do anything with them really just yet. Should have started with the legs, to be perfectly honest. This is a new piece of engineering here. Just take this skirt armor here and fold this around. That'll reduce the cross section of it, which is nice. So for the foot, what we want to do is get these propellers out of the way. Take this. This is going to, we're going to extend this panel out. Then we're going to fold these panels around and they will clip in right here. You see there's a tab here and there's a tab here, and they will go into their respective hollow spots. And that will make that panel just like it is on the Hasbro foot. So we want to turn this around, kind of plug it back in. This foot is going to go all the way down, which is going to flatten this piece of kibble here. you want to make sure that these spring panels are folded in first. Okay, that big panel will be held in place, but this little panel just cannot be damned. Cannot be bothered. Alright, so we're going to take this and fold this like this. His knees go, like his shins go facing each other. And do the same with the other foot. So yank on this panel here. Fold these around here. Flip this around here, fold that down, flip this out, extend this down. So we've got these kind of extended out. So now what we're going to do is we'll kind of get this into place, fold this out like this. We're not putting this into its final position yet, but we're putting it into its next to final position. So now let's focus on getting these arms properly done away with. First, let's take these, clip those together, and then take these. There is a hole right here and a tab right here. That's going to go, you will slide that over this little bracket here and then into that hole like that. And that's going to help lock all of that together. That's actually something that locks on this version, whereas on the Hasbro one it just had alignment tabs. This one actually has locking tabs to keep this all stuck together. So let's focus on an arm. So what we want to do for the arm here, we're on the underside right here. We're going to unfold this and unfold this. The hand is going to come around and you got to kind of curl up the fist to tuck it in. That's not curled enough. Tuck it in back behind there. It doesn't seem to sit as neatly as the Hasbro one did, but since it looks a lot nicer, you can forgive that a bit. It's pretty, right? Alright, so we're going to fold this out, pinch my finger in the process. That kind of smarts. This panel right here is going to disconnect. It's going to actually, you'll see that there's a tab that's in here. It's going to slide out of that hole. If I can coerce it to do such a thing. Oh, turns out I lied. It just came out. All right. So what we want to do, let's pop this off. Bring this around. Turn this on that swivel there. These propellers are getting in the way again. Open this up, and then we can kind of tuck this into this space here, and then fold this over that. now that we've got all this together, then we'll take this and bring this up like so. And then this will kind of start connecting in. Ooh, camera, don't go crazy on me. This will start connecting in with all this, but I'm not going to worry about that for the moment. We're going to go around here to the other side and take care of the other arm. I'm going to hold this out at arm's length. Ha ha ha, arm's length. And we're going to make the magic happen all over again. Disconnect this. That's a tight joint. The arm wants to fold around. Open this, open this. Open this thumb a bit, fold up the fingers a bit. Flip this around. Get that in its position. Get these open. Put that in place, put that in place. Grab this down and around and peg that all into place. Yes! Bring this up and out. These, by the way, are on double hinges now instead of single hinges. And you'll notice that there's actually quite a few places like here and here that they've switched it to double hinges instead of single hinges. That allows them to make this more flush in the vehicle mode. Before they had those hinge barrels just kind of sticking out. And they didn't look bad per se, but they don't look as good as this. Alright, so there we are. All the stuff is mostly in place. I'm going to take this time to... You go away, and you guys go away, and you go away, and I just want this part right here. I'm going to take this and flip that around, straighten this out. See, this used to be pinned in on the Hasbro version, but now it's just going to go right on and kind of just do a nice little spreading and fit on. It's not a perfect solution. Kind of wish that you didn't have to, pull on it to make it work, but it is a solution. Alright, all of the key components are in place. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to start pegging stuff together. So this is going to peg in, and this is going to peg in, kind of, and this is going to peg in. This is going to peg together. This is all just a matter of, tabs and slots, but it's tabs and slots on quite a large scale. Not just the size, but the number of them as well. That's kind of in place. It's enough that I'm going to work on the other side. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so here's the underside. Looks a lot like the underside of the Hasbro version in this mode. Most of these panels are most of these panels are in their place. Some of them are a little deviant, but we'll get to that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attach the rest of the goodies. So we've got, this is the little army men. We'll attach into these slots right here. Via their bases. I don't know if they're if they have a particular preference. This guy seems to fit into both of them. Let's see if this one didn't really want to fit in the other slot. Maybe they do have a preference, and their preference is just that they don't want to go in there. But with a little determination and force, anything will work out. Fold this guy up, stick him in here, tail first. That just kind of tabs into there. And then we are going to take this whole section here and just kind of fold this down and fold this down and fold this down. This comes around and you just kind of straighten this all out. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just take and we're going to plug it in. So you've got little tabs here, 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 and then you've got little reverse tabs in here. And these are the ones that I like the least. As you can see, I've even got a little bit of damage on that one, which is really frustrating because, as I mentioned, I am borrowing this. This is not mine. It's always no bueno when something comes back to somebody slightly damaged, even if it's not necessarily something that, I mean, every now and again you get something that's just designed in a way that is just conducive to failure. I remember, if any of y'all had a Titans Return, a Weird Wolf, or Wolfwire, I guess is what they called him in the Titans Return line, and I think approximately 100% of them had broken. And I had mine on the shelf, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I was like, yeah, well, at least my Wolfwire hasn't broken. And I picked it up and went to transform it, and it snapped right there, right then. And it's just stuff like that. It's just it's a design that wasn't really all that great. There was unexpected engineering concerns, and sometimes these things have a high amount of failure. So one of the things that's kind of nice about this is that actually this panel, because all these outer panels peg into it, it helps keep those outer panels, helps keep them honest, helps keep them on the straight and narrow. Let's see if we can get these ones to stay honest. No, stay. There we go. Good boy. Good boy. Alrighty. Alright, so now we're going to attach his tail, his Bicep, and extend his big old blades. These blades are just like freakishly huge. They are designed to rotate around so that you can flip them so that they're symmetrical in robot mode and properly aligned in vehicle mode. this back into place where it's supposed to be. Extend out his refueling tube, and there he is. He is freakishly huge. It's massive. Just these rotors. These rotors are pretty. They're cool. They spin really nicely. Mostly because this rotor is just really heavy. Oh, I bumped it. But yeah, he just looks really good. In this mode here, he looks... I mean, he's basically plain gray on most of the outside. So he's kind of similar to how he looked in the Hasbro version. But he's just massive. And I haven't taken the time to transform the Hasbro one back. But you can see his underside is nicely covered up. He does have little rolling wheels that are rubberized. And this one here actually has a little rotation on it. So that's kind of cool. And he's a good looking helicopter here. You can, I should have done this before I put these tabs into place. If you undo these tabs on this door right here, yeah, I undid all of the tabs, which I did not want to do. There we go. You can take and it looks like a little cargo door, and you can actually stand your little army men on this door here. And this panel. Of course, as you can see, anytime I really mess with it too much, the panels want to misbehave. But yeah, there is the Jiang hide shadow, and it is huge. It's really cool. I'm not sure that this is the sort of thing that I would keep in vehicle mode. I would keep it in robot mode. I pulled this out, I showed this to a buddy of mine, and it was in the vehicle mode. And he says that for a second he legitimately thought that I had like a big old RC helicopter. It was just massive. But it's a great looking figure. It really shines in robot mode. I have really enjoyed having it and handling it and getting ready for this review, and I can definitely recommend it to anybody. I don't have any of them with me right now, but he does scale basically perfectly with the Masterpiece, the movie Masterpiece figures. And I'm gonna upload it actually to my Facebook page, which I need to get all organized up. Pictures of him posed with them, and looks really good. But anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic. Stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.